student, welcome to the lecture series of instrumentation and sensor. So today in this lecture we will continue our chapter number 1, that is fundamental of measurement, sensing and instrumentation. Okay, so today in this lecture we will learn about what is strain gauge, what is LVDT and what is load cell. Okay, so today in this lecture we will learn about what is the working principle of strain gauge, LVDT, load cell and use of it. Okay, so let us start with strain gauge. So strain gauges are important geotechnical tools that measure strain in underground cavities, tunnels, buildings, concrete, and in dams, in bridges, and amendment in soil and concrete, etc. Okay, so generally strain gauges are important geotechnical tools. Okay, so strain gauges are generally used to measure strain in this area. Okay, so main purpose of strain gauge is to indirectly determine the stress and its variation with time. Okay, so change in stress is determined by multiplying the measured strain by the modulus of elasticity. Okay, so main purpose of strain gauge is indirectly the measurement of stress. Okay, and its variation with time. Okay, so main purpose of strain gauge is measurement of stress. So if you are confused about strain gauge, so let us understand what is the working principle of strain gauge, what is the types of strain gauge and where we can use strain gauges. Okay, so first of all let us understand what is strain gauge and how do they work. Okay, so first of all, before jump to the basic technical part of the instrument, first of all let us understand what is strain gauge. Okay, so strain gauge measure the strain, that is amount of contraction as well as expansion caused by external forces. Okay, so strain is nothing but amount of contraction as well as expansion caused by external forces, that is known as a strain. Okay, and we use instrument to measure this strain, that is strain gauge. Okay, on any object. Okay, so strain gauges was invented in any basic strain gauge consists of an insulating flexible backing that supports the metallic foil pattern. You can clearly see in this image. Okay, so the gauge is attached to the object under the stress using an adhesive. Okay, and the deformation in the object causes the foil to get distorted as well as which ultimately changes the electric resistivity of the foil. Okay, so this gauge is attached to the object with the help of adhesive, and any deformation in the object that causes the changes in electrical resistivity of the foil. Okay, so by measuring this electrical resistivity we can easily measure the strain, and this change in resistivity is measured by the Wheaton bridge, which is related to the strain by quantity called gauge factor. So with the help of Wheaton bridge we can easily measure the strain. Okay, so if any deformation in the object causes changes in electrical resistivity of this foil. Okay, and by measuring this electrical resistivity with the help of Wheaton bridge, we can easily measure the strain on the object. Okay, so we can say that each strain gauge is composed of metal foil insulated by a flexible substrate as shown in figure. You can clearly see in this figure, this one is metal foil. Then the tool lead passes a current through the gauges. Okay, this tool lead passes the current through the gauges. Okay, and as the surface of the object being measured stretches or contracts, the change in resistance is measured. Okay, so if we found any stretches and contracts in this object, so at that time we can measure the change in resistance with the help of Wheaton bridge circuit. Okay, so we can say that the change in resistance is directly proportional to change in length on the surface of the object being tested. Okay, so change in resistance is directly proportional to the length of the object, okay, that is being tested. Okay, so generally strain gauge is worked by measuring the change in electrical resistance. So we can say that what is gauge factor? So gauge factor is the sensitivity of the strain gauge, we can say that. So it converts the change in resistance to the change in length. Okay, so gauge factor is nothing but the ratio of, which is represented here by K. So this is the ratio of change in resistance to the change in length. And with the help of this equation, we can easily measure the change in resistance in the object. So with the help of this equation, we can easily measure the change in electrical resistance across the thin this conductive coil. Okay, so this is nothing but change in resistance. This is R, which represents resistance. This one is K, which represents gauge factor, which is the ratio of change in resistance to change in length, and epsilon, which is represented by strain. Okay, so by measuring the change in resistance of conducting coil, we can easily measure the strain. Okay, so this one is general basic principle of strain gauge. Okay, so we can say that as a strain gauge experience bending, stretching, or any twisting or any deformation, so the change in resistance across the metal foil, this is the metal foil, is measured by with the help of piston bridge. Okay, so we can measure the change in resistance. Here two wire, so this two wire is connected to the piston bridge circuit. So with the help of piston bridge circuit, we can easily measure the change in resistance. Okay, and how resistance changes? So tension causes the resistance increase and compression causes the resistance decrease. Okay, so in our object, if tension occurred, then tensor causes the resistance increase. Okay, and if in our object compression occurred, then it will decrease the resistance. Okay, so the change in resistance, which is measured with the help of this piston bridge, which is directly proportional to strain experienced by this object. Okay, so this is the basic working principle of strain gauge, that how strain gauge work. So with the help of Hooke's law, we can easily measure the strain. Okay, so this is the basic working principle of strain gauge. Okay, now let us understand what is the main application of strain gauge in civil engineering. Okay, first one is monitoring stresses in structural members driving and after construction. Okay, second one is measuring strain is reinforced concrete, monitoring loads in strutting systems for deep excavation, then measuring strain in tunnel lining and supports. Okay, now let us understand which types of strain gauges are available. So first one is amendment strain gauges, second is weldable strain gauges, then third one is fiber optic strain gauges, and then last one is dynamic strain transducers. So this is the working principle of strain gauges, main application of strain gauges in civil engineering, and types of strain gauges. Okay, now let us understand what is LVDT. So LVDT is linear variable differential transducer. So LVDT is a displacement transducer. Okay, so LVDT is generally used to measure the displacement. Okay, so this one is a basic image of LVDT. So LVDT is most preferred displacement measurement transducer used in industries because of its simple design and proven reliability. Okay, so in LVDT you can clearly see in this image there is one primary winding and two secondary windings present. Okay, with the help of mutual induction between the primary winding and two secondary winding, we can get output. Okay, so we can say that the relation between the input and output of the LVDT is derived using the concept of mutual induction of this coil. Okay, you can clearly see in this image we will get output V0, which is a difference of V1 minus V2. Okay, so output of the LVDT, which is in the form of voltage form across these two secondary winding, which is connected in series. Okay, you can clearly see here that the difference between the two secondary winding voltage, we will get output of the LVDT, which is in the form of voltage, or another language you can say that it is in the form of analog form. Okay, so LVDT is generally used to measure the displacement. Okay, so we can say that the output measure is based on the variation in the mutual induction between the primary winding and each of these two secondary winding. Okay, when the core moves due to subjected displacement. Okay, so here we have core. If any displacement occur in this core, so there is a variation between this primary winding and secondary winding. So you can clearly see in this image, this one is core, which is in motion form. Okay, so any displacement occur in this core, there is a variation occur in this mutual induction of this primary winding and these two secondary winding, and according to these voltage differences occur at output side. Okay, so if any displacement occur here, there will be changes in output side voltage. Okay, so by measuring this voltage, we can easily measure the displacement of the core. Okay, so LVDT is generally used to measure the displacement. Now our next sensor is load cell. Okay, so in geotechnical instrumentation, there are many sensors are available for structural health monitoring, landside monitoring, and excavation monitoring. Okay, so load cell are one such instrument that are commonly used to measure the weight. Okay, so load cell are generally used to measure weight. They can measure very small things as well as very high machine like drilling machines. Okay, so load cell is generally used to measure weight of any small things to heavy large machinery. You can find a load cell everywhere, even in your nearby grocery stores to weight items. Okay, so this is nothing but a load cell. Okay, so load cell is generally used to measure weight. Load cells are available in different shapes, types and sizes. Okay, so let us understand what is the types of working principle of and what is the shapes of load cells. Okay, so first of all, what is load cell? So load cell is a transducer that converts a mechanical force into the readable electrical unit similar to our regular weighting scales. Okay, so load cell is generally a transducer, not a sensor. Okay, because it produces analog signal that is in the form of electrical signal form. Okay, so we can say that a load cell is a transducer that converts a mechanical force into the electrical signal form. Okay, and by calibrating this electrical signal, we can easily measure the weight of any object. Okay, so main purpose of the load cell is to measure the weight or and to check the amount of load transferred. Okay, so load cells are always bounded along with elastic material, and that elastic material is nothing but strain gauges. Okay, so load cells are generally used with strain gauges. So to understand about load cell, first of all, we have to understand about what is strain gauges, what is working principle of strain gauges, what is the types of strain gauges. Okay, so in this lecture, we have studied first of all what is strain gauges, what is working principle of strain gauges. Okay, so load cells always bounded along with the strain gauges. Okay, now let us understand what is load cell used for. Okay, so the type of instrument used in geotechnical field that depends on scope of work. So load cell can be used at the initial stages during the research and development or even at the later stages while the monitoring the structure. So load cells can be used at initial stages during the research and development or even at a later stages while monitoring the structure. So geotechnical instruments are used for both purpose. First one is pre-construction and second one is post-construction. Okay, so we can use load cell for pre-construction purpose and after post-construction purpose. Okay, to ensure the safety of structures, dams, tunnel and bridges. Okay, so proper monitoring of the structure ensure that the long-term safety. Okay, so we have to monitor the structures with the help of any instruments. Okay, in this chapter we have studied about all the instruments to monitoring the structures, deformation of any structures. Okay, so sensor is generally used to monitor the structures, deformation, to measure the deformation of the any structures before construction and after construction. Okay, so load cell are generally used to monitor the deep foundation like excavation bracing like studs, soldiers piles, then tiebacks and anchors or retaining walls. Second, tunnels and shaft. So in tunnel and shaft, steel liner plate, cast in place concrete, segmented precast concrete and shotcrete. In piles, then pile load test. Okay, and in dams, concrete dams, underground powerhouse. Okay, so these are the main applications of the load cells. So let us understand how can we use load cell in studs. Okay, so this is the image of compression load cell in between the strut at and under construction of metro station. Okay, so you can clearly see here the I-beam struts are usually installed in the framework of underground metro stations. Okay, so strain gauge soil load cells are widely used to measure the amount of load being transferred to the struts. So load cells are generally installed between these struts to measure the amount of load being transferred to the struts. Okay, so this is first application of load cell. Okay, so second application is tiebacks, rope bolts and ground anchors. Okay, so ground anchors big load cells are designed to test and measure the load in tiebacks, rope bolts and ground anchor. Okay, so the load test is carried out by applying load to tieback anchor within an inline hydraulic jack. Okay, then the load cell is placed between the retaining wall and the hydraulic jack. And once the hydraulic jack opens up, the load transferred to the tieback measured by the load cell. Okay. Second one is in retaining wall. So there are various types of retaining walls are present like sheet pile, anchor retaining walls, board pile, retaining walls and cantilevered. Okay. So the load cells are installed in this wall to monitor the changes behind it and study the effectiveness of the different kind of retaining system. So load cell measure and indicate the excessive load beforehand. Okay. So load cell is used to measure the load in tiebacks, rope walls and ground walls. It is also used to measure the monitor the changes behind the retaining walls. Okay. Now next application in diaphragm or sheet pile wall. This is the image of anchored load cell in the diaphragm wall at under the construction of metro station. Okay, so to measure the stability of diaphragm, or we can say that sheet pile wall, load cells are installed in the tie back anchor systems. Okay, so this is the application of load cell in sheet pile wall. Okay, so next application is to measure the roof support in underground cavities and to measure the stability in the land sand zone. So underground cavities need to be monitored closely because they are under constant threat of rough collapse and side wall falling. Okay, slope failure and landslides have been a major concern as they are the most common form of the natural disasters. Okay, so pre-straight grounded anchors are used to provide active support to the walls and roofs. Okay, you can clearly see in this image that is anchor load cell in the cavity in a dip. Okay, so load cell measure the amount of load transferred and warn the respective authorities on the time to avoid problems. Okay, so load cell is generally used to measure the stability of them before any problems occur. Okay, and it is also used to measure the amount of load transfer and warn respective authorities before any problem occurs. Okay, now next application is pile load test. Okay, so this is the image of compression load cell used in pile testing. Okay, so before constructing a structure, static load testing is carried out. Okay, so load is applied by placing the hydraulic jack against the reaction pile or directly by compressing. Okay, so the deep excavation and the foundation are filled with piles to investigate the load bearing capacity. Okay, so in pile load testing, we can use load cell to investigate the load bearing capacity. So now let us understand what is the working principle of load cells. So load cell principle involves the use of many geotechnical instruments. It can be worked without any sensor and the sensor is nothing but strain gauge. Okay, so load cell cannot work without the use of strain gauges. Okay, strain gauge is nothing but an elastic material made up of stainless steel and fixed inside the load cell using a proper adhesive. So strain gauge has a specific resistance that is directly proportional to the length and width of the object. When the force is applied to the load cell, it bends and stretches, causing the strain gauge to move with it. Okay, now because of this stretches and bend, resistance of the strain gauge foil will be changed. So we can say that the length and the cross section area of the object will be changed. So we can say that due to this bend and stretches, the length and cross section area of the object will be changed. Okay, so due to these changes, resistance of the strain gauge foil will be changed. Okay, and due to these changes in resistance, which is measured by the Wheatstone bridge, which we have studied in strain gauge working principle, that if any changes in resistance is measured with the help of Wheatstone bridge, and which will give us output in the form of voltage form. Okay, so load cell which is connected to strain gauges working principle. Okay, so when any force is applied to load cell, changes occur in strain gauges resistivity which is connected to the load cell. Okay, and due to these changes in resistivity, we can measure the voltage by using the Wheatstone bridge circuit. Okay, so now let us understand what is Wheatstone bridge. So whenever the change in resistance of the strain gauge take place, it is displayed as an electrical output. But the main question is how we can measure the changes in resistance of the strain gauge. Okay, so load cell work only when any changes occur in the resistance of the strain gauge, and we can use this resistance with the help of Wheatstone bridge. Okay, you can clearly see in this image that here we have strain gauges which is in Wheatstone bridge form. So here in load cell we have to use 4 strain gauges. Whenever the force applied to the load cell, the resistance of these 4 strain gauges will be changed. By using this Wheatstone bridge resistance equation, we can easily measure the change in resistance in the form of voltage which is in output side. Okay, and this voltage is directly proportional to the force applied to the load cell. Okay, now here you can clearly see that this one is load cell circuit. Okay, so load cell circuit is also known as a Wheatstone bridge circuit. So let us assume that load cell circuit has 4 internal strain gauge. As I told you, these are 4 internal strain gauge. Okay, that is A, B, C and D. So you can clearly see in this image that at C and D terminal we have input, and at A and B terminal we have output signal. Okay, when no load is applied to the load cell, so at that time we can say that this circuit is in balance condition. So when the load is applied to the load cell, the resistance of this strain gauges will be changed. Okay, and by measuring this resistance we will get our output, which is in the form of voltage. Okay, which is directly proportional to the force applied to the load cell. Okay, so this is the basic working principle of load cell, and we can say that the output of the load cell, which is in the form of analog form, because we will get output which is in the form of voltage form. So we have to interpret this output signal to measure the amount of load or amount of force applied to the load cell. Okay, now let us understand what is the main difference between load cell and strain gauge. Okay, so main common difference between load cell and strain gauge, that is, so strain gauge is a single resistive element and load cell is a combination of the four strain gauges. So second is, without strain gauges we cannot use load cell. Okay, we have to use four strain gauges resistive element in Wheatstone bridge circuit to measure load or weight. Okay, so this is the main difference between load cell and strain gauges. That is, load cell, that is strain gauge is a single resistive element, and we have to use four strain gauges in load cell to measure load or any force. Okay, so in this lecture we have studied about what is strain gauge, what is working principle, and what is the main application of strain gauge in civil engineering. Second, we have studied about what is LVDT, that is linear variable differential transducer, which is used to measure the displacement. And third one is load cell, to measure the weight or any amount of load being transferred. Okay, and next is what is the difference between the load cell and strain gauges. Okay, so these are the main sensor which we have studied in last two lectures also, and in this lecture, that first one is piezometer, second one is inclinometer, third one is strain gauge, then next is LVDT and load cell. These are the main sensor which we can use in civil engineering. Okay, so thank you for watching this video.